Rigor Duterte, President of the Republic of the Philippines, Secretary Jesus Jess Teresa, Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, Executive Secretary Salvador Medial Dia, and Cabinet members, Senate President Aquilino Pimentel III, and members of the Senate, Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez and members of Congress, members of the Diplomatic Corps, development partners, chairman and members of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission, chairperson and members of the GPH and MILF Implementing Peace Panel, and other infrastructure of the peace process, members of the Central Committee of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, the Malaysian facilitator, Dato Kamaruddin of the GPH MILF Peace Process, brothers and sisters in the Moro National Liberation Front, brothers and sisters in the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, fellow Mujahideen, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening to everyone. At the outset, allow me to thank the leadership and the members of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission for completing its tasks of drafting the Bangsamoro Basic Law. Let me congratulate all of you for a job well done. The composition of the Commission, which drew its membership from government and MNLF and MILF and other sectors, demonstrated our ability to rise above our partisan interests and to work for the welfare of our people. As we submit today the draft Bangsamoro Basic Law, we consign to the President the hope and dreams of the Bangsamoro people. As we hand over to the President the draft Bangsamoro Basic Law, we put our trust and confidence in the process of government. As we submit to you, Mr. President, the draft Bangsamoro Basic Law, we hold on to the promise of the fulfillment of the covenant we signed 3 years ago with the government. Today marks the end of our active participation in the shaping of the Basic Law and commences our complete trust in the ability of government to deliver on the promise of peace and development of our homeland. As the government takes over the shepherding of the Bangsamoro Basic Law, we can only hope that the spirit that inspired us to forge ahead with peace, despite all the challenges, will animate our partners in government to enact a law that shall embody our people's dreams and aspirations. We have gone this far in our journey, achieve peace and fulfill our mutual commitment to uplift the condition of our people. That partnership has brought to us to this stage, the passage of the Bangsamoro Basic Law and the establishment of the Bangsamoro government. We live in a very dangerous times. A couple of years ago, as we watched with agony the systematic dismantling of the first draft of the BBL in Congress, we also observed with growing concern the increasing frustration of our people and the fearful rearing of the ugly head of violent extremism. Today, we watch with utter disgust at the destruction that violent extremism has inflicted in the city of Marawi. These misguided people has filled the vacuum created by our failure to enact the Basic Law and feed into the frustration of our people. Even as we speak, fighting and destruction in Marawi continues. I ask, therefore, that we pause for a minute of silence and say a prayer for the brave men and women who stood against violent extremism, for the civilians who have died, and for those who have displaced, for those who have shown courage by saving lives despite putting their lives in danger, and for the hundreds of civilians still trapped in the conflict zone and whose suffering no words can describe. The danger of violent extremism, that it feeds into the frustration of our people and take over the narrative of historical injustice so that it can justify its virulent ideology, which in reality is never linked to the national aspiration of our people. But because it exploits the narrative of historical injustice, it is important to address legitimate grievances and correct historical injustice so that it will be denied any semblance of legitimacy. Mr. President, we hear you speak of the need to address historical injustice committed against our people, and we marvel at the ease with which you narrate the historical basis of our cause. Today, at a crucial moment in our history, you have been given the unique privilege of correcting that historical injustice by entrenching the aspiration of our people through the enactment of this Bangsamoro Basic Law. We trust you. We trust that you will shepherd the passage of this law and see through the establishment of the Bangsamoro government. By this document, Mr. President, you would have taken the first step in correcting the historical injustice committed against our people and laid the foundation of a more just country. By this joint action, we have co-founded a new Philippines, a new country firmly set on the unshakable foundation of justice and truth, and bequeath upon our succeeding generation a country united but respecting and drawing strength from its diversity. Finally, let me express, in behalf of the MILF and the Bangsamoro people, our very sincere appreciation to Secretary Jesse Doresa for recommending to the President the certifying of the BBL as urgent bill during its endorsement to Congress. We pray to Allah that the President will highly consider such important step, which will ultimately hasten the process and ensure that the agreed roadmap in the peace process will be made, inshallah. Thank you very much, and may peace be unto you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Chairman Murad. Now may we call on the Chairman of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission, Mr. Ghazali Jafar, to deliver his message.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. The President of the Republic of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Secretary Jesus Doresa of OPAP, the Senate President of the Senate of the Philippines, Senate President Coco Pimentel, Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez of the House, Lower House of the Congress, members of the Senate, members of the lower house, the cabinet secretary, and the cabinet members, members of the diplomatic corps, Brother Murad, chairman of the MILF, and members of the Central Committee of the MILF, Brother Yusuf Jakiri, chairman of the MNLF, and members of the Central Committee of the MNLF, distinguished guests, our friends in the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is 4 months since the Bangsamoro Transition Commission officially began its task, crafting the Bangsamoro Basic Law, which started during the plenary session in Cotabato City on March 6, 2017. And finally, the Bangsamoro Transition Commissioners signed the draft Basic Law on June 16, 2017, or 3 months and 10 days to be exact. Mr. President, we can still remember the exhortation you made to us during the launching of the expanded Bangsamoro Transition Commission, which was held on February 24, 2017 in Davao City. Allow me to quote you, Mr. President, and I quote, "You put your hearts into it," unquote. You said so, Mr. President. And that is precisely what we did as a collegial body of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission. And so today, we are submitting the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law, wherein we put our energy, dedication, collective intellect, and with one singular interest, and that of the Bangsamoro people. Conscious of the need for the implementation of signed agreements, particularly the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro, or CAB, we have made this new proposed BBL faithful to the letter and spirit of the CAB and considerate of other agreements gained through decades of peace process, such as the Tripoli Agreement and the final peace agreement. In fact, the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law is now more inclusive, being a product of a commission whose composition also reflects the widest inclusivity of all important stakeholders in the prospective Bangsamoro. Again, let me quote you, Mr. President, and I quote, "Navigate the hindrances and obstructions," unquote. You also told us that, Mr. President, time, resources, and unexpected events may have caused us difficulties, but these factors have been overcome by the Bangsamoro Transition Commission because we simply cannot allow these things to hinder or obstruct us in the performance you mandated us, Mr. President. We believe that the new proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law reflects the diversity of interests of the Bangsamoro people, non-Bangsamoro indigenous people, and settler communities. Yet, these interests are all united under one goal of establishing a just, dignified, and lasting peace in the Bangsamoro, in Mindanao, and in the country in general. We humbly submit this new proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. This is the best antidote to violent extremism that has wrought havoc in many parts of the Bangsamoro. Once legislated, this new BBL would erase the doubt on the peace process. That mistaken notion, which is fueling violent extremism among some Moros. Mr. President, this Bangsamoro Basic Law is our new formula for the very elusive peace in Mindanao. The recent tragedy in Marawi City can only lead to the isolation and public hatred over the extremists. We believe that what they have done to the people of Marawi City, they did it out of frustration. What our people need is a just and dignified peace. They need the promises of peace that the Bangsamoro Basic Law offers. Once established, the Bangsamoro government would be at the forefront of keeping public order and safety, dispensing justice within the bounds of law, and addressing the basic requisites of a good life long denied to the Bangsamoro. The leadership of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, as a signatory to the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro, and the leadership of the Moro National Liberation Front, as signatory to the Tripoli Agreement and the Peace Agreement, Final Peace Agreement, are committed to the fulfillment of the signed agreements, which practically cover all the legitimate aspirations of the Bangsamoro people. We need the passage of this proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law into law so that we can start rebuilding our lives. We Moros truly believe that in your time and under your leadership, Mr. President, we, your Moro brothers and sisters, as you have publicly declared time and again, would see the dawning of the government in the Bangsamoro homeland, which they truly deserve. On behalf then of the entire Bangsamoro Transition Commission and brilliant commissioners, and the Bangsamoro people in general, and in behalf of the leadership of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the leadership of the Moro National Liberation Front, and in behalf of the several hundred martyrs, hundreds of thousands of martyrs, or Sahid of the Moro struggle, I humbly submit to you, Mr. President, as our brother, as our leader, and as our president, the new proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. Finally, let me take this great opportunity by expressing to you, Mr. President, a brother to us, and our leader on behalf of my family, for appointing me or giving me this opportunity in leading the Bangsamoro Transition Commission as you mandated it to craft a basic law And again, for the second time also, by giving me your trust and confidence in my leadership when you appoint me as Amiral Hajj of the the Muslim pilgrims this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Jafar. We will now proceed to the turnover of the proposed BBL to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. May we invite BTC Chair Ghazali Jafar to turn over the proposed BBL to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte to be witnessed by Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, Secretary Dereza, Chair Murad, Senate President Aquilino Pimentel III, Speaker of the House Pantaleon Alvarez, GPH Implementing Panel Chair Irene Santiago, and MILF Implementing Panel Chair Mohakir Iqbal. Thank you, Mr. President. At this juncture, may we call on Thank you again, Mr. President. At this juncture, may we call on Executive Secretary Medialdea to introduce our guest of honor and speaker.
Honorable members of the Diplomatic Corps, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Kindly sit down. Salamat po. Today marks a new milestone in our history that will stand as proof of our resolve to set aside our differences and stand united to achieve a common goal of peace. This moment is a significant step forward in our quest to end centuries of hatred, mistrust, and injustice that caused and affected the lives of the millions of Filipinos. The draft Bangsamoro Basic Law embodies our shared aspiration of a peaceful, orderly, and harmonious nation. After decades of armed struggle and violence, we will soon come up with a constitutionally consistent legal instrument that will lay the foundation for establishing the real and lasting peace in Mindanao. The proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law puts into life and spirit the constitutional mandate provided in the 1987 Constitution for the establishment of a truly autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao. This paves the way for meeting the just aspiration of the Bangsamoro people for self-determination, and that is consistent and reflective of the distinct and historical, cultural heritage and economic and social structures common to the people residing in Bangsamoro. This will be realized while preserving and strengthening the territorial integrity of the Republic of the Philippines. The draft bill jointly written by our Muslim, Christian, and Lumad brothers and sisters shall give rise to a genuine autonomous region as well as bring forth healing and reconciliation to the historical injustices committed against the Bangsamoro people. Indeed, the entire country will benefit from it along with the region for the Bangsamoro people. May this new entity be marked by good governance, equitable sharing of wealth, and generation of revenue, a normalized, stable environment. Inshallah, we will achieve sustainable and inclusive peace and development in the Bangsamoro Mindanao for the entire country. This is not included in the speech, but may I say to you, my brother Mor, that I commit to support in front of everybody my covenant with you that I will support and husband this instrument as it goes in the legislature for its consideration. And there will be no objections of the provisions of all that is consistent with the Constitution and the aspiration of the Moro people. I am for this. Within the context of the Republic of the Philippines, there shall be a Bangsamoro country. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this point, may we request our President to remain on stage for a photo opportunity. May we call on the first batch, the BTC and the Secretariat Committee. Maybe just in front of the stage, please. Thank you.